Gonna crush it. Here we go. This video is brought to you by Sportsman's Guide. It is your source for shooting, tactical, and hunting needs. Check below in the description to find out more, and be sure to use my code WARRIOR. So, yay for that. And that's a wrap. We'll do that. Were you recording that the whole time? Well, we'll just use that. That's awesome. Nailed the ad. Let's do the video. So one of the greatest obstacles in actually defending people and saving yourself in the midst of a violent encounter, it's overcoming fear. It's a really big deal. And so in this video, we're going to talk about 4 dirty tricks that fear can play. These are fear traps that you can fall into. I've identified 4 of them. They're my own creation, but perhaps you've kind of faced your own demise and you just remember that stark horror. Some of these are going to remind you of a time that you got stuck in these traps. My hope in making this video is to startle people awake, realizing, man, you could be a good shooter. You could have all the guns and all the gear and do all kinds of different stuff, but fear creeps up on you in that moment and turns your heart to stone, your legs to concrete. You're not able to think, you're not able to act. You didn't do what you hoped you would do. And so these traps can do awful, nasty stuff. Now, what this video is not is a survey of how well you've done in the past, so your successes, or what you normally do. So for me, when the adrenaline starts coursing through my veins and I'm feeling that fear, a lot of times that kind of has this calming effect where I think really, really clearly, helps me. Now, on the other side of that, I can tip into stark terror. And so these 4 big traps I'm going to talk to you about, I've fallen into every one of them. I feel them intimately. I can go back in my mind and remember multiple times where I fell in each trap. And man, you're easy to kill when you get stuck in one of these traps. In advance, I'd like to go ahead and ask you guys to go ahead and share this with anybody that you know that's in any type of life-threatening situation, whether their life is on the line or someone else. So EMS or doctors, paramedics, firemen, police, military, all of that. Go ahead and send this video to them so perhaps they can adopt this language as well and hopefully shake someone out of one of these fear traps so it doesn't cost them their life or the lives of people that they know. Also, as an aside, I'd like to go ahead and say fear might not be as strong of a word as what I'm looking at here. It's not like a car wreck or a fist fight you got in. I'm talking about that whole nother level where you're truly feeling you're facing your own demise, like this is it kind of stuff. That's the stark horror that I'm talking about. So let's go into the first one. All right, fear trap number 1 is the panic trap. Here, you can't think clearly. You can't process clearly. All that's going on is you just think chicken with its head cut off, just running around crazy. In this moment, the panic trap, you wish for death. You can't do, the only thing you can really do well is die. That's it. You make terrible decisions. Even your ability to run and just, you may run straight into enemy lines. Up is down and left is right. You just can't think clearly. It's the panic trap. You are a liability on a battlefield to yourself and the people that are trying to calm you down or to keep you alive. You are a liability. It's the panic trap. You've got to be able to scale down. I call the second trap the retirement trap because your mind goes to goofy places. Out of folks that have never felt this, this one feels and looks the absolute weirdest. You're thinking like in the midst of it when you should be thinking about the fight and problem solving and your head should be really there. Instead, you're like bullets flying everywhere and you're thinking, you know what? I think I'm going to buy a duplex and I'll rent out the other side to help offset my mortgage. And you're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what happens is your mind, just desperate to leave that place, distances itself from the imminent danger in front of you, and it starts solving superfluous problems later on. And so it's kind of the retirement trap. It could be 1,000 different things. You're thinking about the blueberry pancakes that your grandmother makes you and all kinds of stuff like that. Or if like, I should probably ask that girl out on a date when I get home. All kinds of just weird stuff. All of it is just a distraction from the there and now. You can't get into the retirement trap because it's very easy, just like the panic trap, to get you killed. I call the third trap the dreamer's trap. And this is where you're kind of in the midst of the horror, you're elevated above it. And so, what was a terribly important problem to solve, life or death, then it's all of a sudden not as big of a deal. You regard it as surreal. You're thinking it'll all just work out. And you're almost looking at yourself from the outside and saying, you know what? It's not so bad. There's a real cool place in a Stephen Pressfield book, Tides of War. It's in my reading list on Amazon. Check below in the description. I'll have links for you. I'll read you a little excerpt, and that's just so cool. It's been my experience that in certain instances of battle or other moments of extreme peril, reality as it is normally experienced becomes supplanted by a dreamlike state in which events seem to unfold with a stately deliberateness, a retardation, almost leisurely, and we ourselves stand apart as if observers of our own peril. A sense of wonder pervades all. One becomes vividly, preternaturally aware, not alone of danger, but of beauty as well. He sees and keenly appreciates such subtleties as the play of light upon water. My brother was fascinated by this phenomenon of dislocation. Its stem, he maintained, was fear. Fear so overpowering that it drives the animating spirit from the flesh as in death. And these moments, my brother believed we actually are dead. And so really, really cool where it's an out-of-body experience. That one that I told you about, the retirement trap, the duplex thing, that actually happened to me. And then I got back from war and literally bought the duplex and offset the mortgage by renting out the other side. Seemed like a good idea at the time. If it was good enough to think about in a firefight, it was good enough to actually execute when I got back home. Bonus. So there's the panic trap, retirement trap, the dreamer's trap, and the fourth one is the broken record trap. This one is also just as lethal and dangerous as the ones before, and perhaps even more so because it has the other ones you don't have much confidence in. Some you don't have. The dreamer's trap, you lack ambition. You see your demise and you just don't really care. The retirement trap, you don't see it at all. You're almost, it's like a surrogate self passing through the fire while you are in greener pastures solving little minute problems that are irrelevant to actually survival. In the panic trap, you are not able to have any real understanding of what's going on. The broken record trap is dangerous because you think that what your plan is a good one. So, for instance, it's basically to become hyper-focused on one thing. It seems to be the most important thing. The only thing that matters is like, we've got to get up that hill. And that could be something where you're constantly stuck in this feedback loop of got to get up the hill, got to get up the hill. We have to get up that hill. And the enemy may be up there. It may be absolutely the worst thing in the world to charge that hill. But in your head, it's the only way to survive. And so you get stuck in this kind of feedback loop. We got to get up the hill. We got to get up the hill. I remember one of we'd get rocketed all the time. The brave terrorists would set up rockets, point toward our, FOB where we were located, and then rockets would come thundering down, and our job was to run into the bunkers for dear life and hunker down until the rockets stopped exploding. Well, we had this rule at different FOBs, around wherever we were operating, is you had to have your BDU top on, your military overgarment. And so that was like a rule, and that was just kind of beat into my head because I kept getting in trouble because I thought it was a stupid rule and I wouldn't follow it. But when the rockets were falling, I would risk my life to find that garment, and I'd get back to the bunker, and there I was with my garment. And that's just kind of one of those things where I was stuck in that feedback loop. I was a broken record trap. I had to find I can't go outside without that. Can't go outside without that. There was a neat one in Black Hawk Down. So this is 1993, Rangers and some Delta guys in Somalia, the streets of Somalia. This is Mogadishu. And somebody was picking up the fast ropes that were dropped from the helicopter. This was used for insertion, and they were risking their lives to get these ropes because they were expensive. And so anyway, and then all of a sudden he found himself like, dude, what am I risking my life to? There's stupid ropes. But at his moment, in that moment, he was stuck in that kind of broken record trap where I've got to get the ropes, I've got to get the ropes, I've got to get the ropes. And it made no sense. It was asinine. But at the moment, it felt like the most important thing in the world. This one gives like a confidence, a will, a determination, and you feel like it's legitimate, but it may not be. And this is the broken record trap. I'd be interested to hear some of your stories below. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a like and a subscribe. Other videos, I talk about how to kind of conquer this fighter mindset stuff so that you won't fall victim to these traps. And of course, there's no guarantee, but there's a lot of stuff we can do from a training aspect to be able to mitigate the possibilities that we would fall into these traps. Please remember to share this video with others, and remember to check out the Sportsman's Guide. They have their Buyers Club and their link below in the description. So party on, train hard, train smart, and I'll see you guys next time.